Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Catherine and this is Raspberry Reads. I hope you had a great reading month in April. I certainly did, and I'll be back soon with my monthly wrap up for April. But I wanted to start off the month of May with my TBR. So let's just get right into it, shall we? So the first thing I wanted to do is to give a shout out for a readathon that's happening in May, and that is Mental Health May readathon, and it's being run by Kim over at Middle of the Book March, and I'll include Kim's channel in the description below. I recently found Kim's channel and I've been absolutely loving it, and when I saw that she was doing this readathon for Mental Health May, it really resonated with me because I'm quite passionate about mental health. It's an area that I work in for my career, and I do tend to read quite a lot about mental health and well-being in general, so I thought I definitely want to participate in that readathon. So for Mental Health May, I'm going to read two books. The first one, and I mentioned this on my channel before, and I'll link that video in the cards and description, but this is Losing Our Minds, what mental illness really is and what it isn't, by Lucy Foulkes. And so this is an academic work looking at mental health and sort of societal and cultural norms. And Lucy's work looks at what she argues as misunderstandings of how we are diagnosing ourselves or using mental health terminology in our current culture. And this is a UK perspective. So yes, I'm excited to get to this book in May. The second book that I'd like to get to for Mental Health May is, I guess it's a modern classic, but The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat by Oliver Sacks. And this is, I believe, a set of case studies from a neurologist, and it sort of looks at different perspectives of mental health from a clinical setting, I suppose. Haven't heard about this book. I'll just read the blurb on the back. So it says, in his most extraordinary book, Oliver Sacks recounts the stories of patients lost in the bizarre, apparently inescapable world of neurological disorders. These are case studies of people who have lost their memories, and with them the greater part of their pasts, who are no longer able to recognize people and common objects, whose limbs have become alien, who are afflicted and yet are gifted with uncanny artistic or mathematical talents. In Dr. Sacks's splendid and sympathetic telling, each tale is a unique and deeply human study of life struggling against incredible adversity. So this copy was actually given to me from my father-in-law, because as I think I mentioned before, he's trying to read sort of like the top 100 books to read in your lifetime sort of thing. And this was on that list. So yes, I'm really excited to get to this in May. I should say, I apologize if I sound a bit croaky or if I keep coughing and clearing my throat. I've had a sinus infection for like 2 months now, so I'm sure you've noticed on my other videos that I'm sort of like congested, and yes, it hasn't gone away yet, so you'll just have to put up with my croakiness. Alright, the next two books are actually books that I'm currently listening to as audiobooks on my Libby app, and I started them in April, but I'm not very far through them, so they'll be treated as May reads. The first one is Beloved by Toni Morrison. So this is actually narrated by Toni Morrison, and that's the reason why I decided to pick it up as an audiobook. Normally I would approach modern classics or classics as like a physical book to read, but I know Toni Morrison had such a beautiful poetic narrative style, and so I thought, okay, well, if I'm going to listen to any book narrated by the author, one of Toni Morrison's books should be one of them, right? So yes, I'm about 20% in, I would say. So I'm only just getting into the story, but essentially it's about a woman named Katee who is haunted, let's say, by her past, and she lives on sort of a house. I think it's a farmstead type house, and yeah, it's basically a very poetic and emotive recounting of Sethe's story and the people around her and some of the traumas from her past. And I won't say much more than that because I'd like to kind of get through the book and think about my thoughts on the story. The second audiobook that I'm currently listening to is Nuclear Family, and that's by Katee Davies. And this is such a funny story, funny and sad. It's got all the emotions, actually. It's a contemporary book, and it's set in the UK, I think in London. And it's basically about a family whose, I don't think this is spoiling it, but the mother dies with two adult twin girls. Their mother has just passed away, and then for the first Christmas without their mother, one of the girls, women, gifts her father like a genetic test, you know, those ones like 23andMe, to try an ancestry test to try and find out what, you know, their ancestry and different cultures and ethnicities that they may be partially descended from. And the father gets really funny about this and quite evasive, and he really doesn't want to take the test. And what transpires is, and again, I hope I'm not spoiling it, apologies if I am, but that they were donor conceived. And then you have a joint storyline where one of the daughters is in a same-sex relationship, and her wife are also trying to start their family with donor sperm. And it looks a lot so far. I'm about a third of the way through, and it's got a lot of really interesting conversations about identity, what blood relation means to the concept of family. But so those are really heavy topics, but some of the narration, or some of the prose, I should say, is so funny, very witty and sarcastic in a way. But yeah, so I'm really enjoying it, and I will tell you more in my wrap up at the end of May. The next book I have to share with you that I'm going to get to in May, I just picked up. So I've been on a failed book ban for 2024. So I told myself, you don't need to buy any more books. You're given lots of books, and I've got lots to read, you know, around the house that I haven't got to yet. And that book buying ban has not gone very well. And it's not to say that I'm like hoarding books or doing lots of hauls, but I just can't help myself. I just keep acquiring books. And this one is the most recent one, and it is It's Not That Radical: Climate Action to Transform Our World by Mikaela Loach. So I've been following Mikaela, her Instagram account, for years now, mainly to do with my sustainability blog. And Mikaela is a sustainability and climate justice activist, and I'll pop her Instagram account in the description so you can check her out. But yeah, this is her book, and it's just come out, and it's basically her perspectives on climate justice. And it says that she offers a fresh perspective that goes to the roots of poverty, capitalist exploitation, police brutality, and legalized injustice, and provides tips and advice to encourage all of us to come together and fight for the future of our planet. So this is totally my cup of tea. I love reading about environmentalism and intersectional environmentalism, so the crossover with injustice. So I'm excited to get to this as soon as I can. And the last two books I hope to get to this month, and it's kind of dependent on my Libby app because they're both on hold. So I've got one which is Electric Idol by Katee Robert, and this is the second book in the Dark, what's it called? The Dark Olympus series. So I read Neon Gods last year, and it was my first foray into smutty, spicy books, whatever you want to call them. And it delivered. It was intense, and I do think about it a lot. So much so that I was like, you know what? I want to read the second one in that series, and that's always a good indication if you want to keep going in a series. So yes, this one, I mean, these books, they're fairly easy to read. You know, they're not going to win any literary prizes, but they're enjoyable reads. I would say that Katee Robert writes smut really well, and for that reason they're just enjoyable. And this one, so Electric Idol, is about a Greek myth retelling of Psyche and Eros, set in modern day Olympus. So yeah, I'll give you my thoughts when I get to it, but I think my hold is at least another 2 weeks. Similarly, another book that's been on hold for weeks now, if not months, is Butter by Asako Yuzuki. I hope I'm saying that right. And this is a really popular book. It came out either this year or last year, and I've seen it all over the place. But this one is a modern contemporary book about a Japanese gourmet chef, and she is also a serial killer, and it follows her story alongside a journalist who's basically trying to investigate the case and find out who the serial killer is. And this is based on true events on the Konkatsu killer. And serial killer books are my guilty pleasure. I'm not the only person that would say that. Obviously true crime is very popular. But I really enjoyed Out. I can't remember the name of the author, but I'll pop the image on the screen. Apart from the ending, I didn't like the ending, but that's also about a serial killer. And when I saw this one, I was like, ooh, okay, I really got to get to that. So hopefully Butter will become available for me to read on ebook before the end of May. So those are all the new books that I wanted to share with you that I'm hoping to get to in May. I've got my work book club on the 1st of May, and I'm reading, all right, let me reach for it. I'm reading the Book of Form and Emptiness by Ruth Asako, and I've got 100 pages left to go. This one would actually be a really good one to read for Mental Health May if you haven't read it already, but I'll save this for a wrap-up video. But that being said, I'm sure we'll pick a new book for the next time we meet, although that might not be in May, that might be June. And then I still have some books that I shared with you before that I haven't finished yet. So for example, Silent Spring by Rachel Carson, Wilding by Isabella Tree, and The Secret History by Donna Tartt. They're just sitting there longing to be read, but yeah, I hope to get to them soon as well. So these are all the books that I want to read in May. What are you hoping to read in May? Are any of these books that I've mentioned also on your TBR? Let me know in the comments. Also let me know how your April reading month went, and if you had any sort of wins or duds, I'd like to know that as well. And finally, just to wrap up, I just wanted to say that since I'm going to be participating in the Mental Health May readathon, I thought I would also just mention that at least in the UK, it's Mental Health Awareness Month in May. And so I thought it would be nice to ask you all, what do you want to do in May to look after your own well-being and mental health? Maybe that's trying a new form of exercise or giving yourself more time to read, perhaps controversially taking a step away from reading for a little bit, trying a new hobby, yeah, whatever it is. I thought you could maybe share in the comments and we could get a little conversation going. And with that being said, I hope you're all doing really well, and I'll see you soon in a new video. Take care. Bye.